now that we are live because it says that we are. So, okay, excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to X out of this. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today on Facebook, and welcome to our social media influencer roundtable. We want to thank you for joining us today live on Facebook, and we're happy to say that this program is also being recorded so it can be shared on other platforms after this live event so that others can access it in the future. We do recognize the irony of featuring these young influencers on one of the oldest platforms, Facebook, so we will certainly share it out beyond Facebook, but we also want to recognize that this topic of social media affects all ages. Nearly every generation is using social media these days, so it is truly a relevant discussion. We want to thank our panelists, who I will introduce shortly, but I'll introduce myself. I'm Erica Mossholder, the Executive Director of Children's Craniofacial Association, and I want to let our audience know that the format of this program will allow for audience participation in the Facebook comments, which 𝐞𝐞𝐳 will be monitoring. Teen and young adult topics will be discussed, so viewer discretion is advised. And the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this panel belong solely to the speakers and not necessarily to the Children's Craniofacial Association, the speakers' employers, schools, organizations, committees, or other groups or individuals represented here. I especially want to thank 𝐸𝐫𝐤 Moten, our outreach director, for putting together and promoting this panel event, and for Kara Jackman, our marketing and communications coordinator, who is providing the great service of working on captions for us today. Now to our panelists. Peter Dankelson is here with us. I'll let Peter wave. He is a musician and motivational speaker at Pete's Diary, where he amplifies positivity and self-acceptance through music, storytelling, and humor. He's 20 years old and has undergone 35 surgeries to correct birth defects from golden heart syndrome. His passion is playing blues and classic rock on electric guitar. Welcome, Peter. And Dee Dee, his mother, is with him. She also helps run Pete's Diary. Next, we have Emily Merrill. Emily can give us a wave. She's 16 years old and a junior in high school from New Jersey. She's a motivational speaker and uses her social media platform to raise awareness and share her story. She is a medical warrior. Welcome, Emily. Rhys Yarbrough is next. She is giving us a wave. We'll have her wave for us. Thank you, Reese. She's a 20-year-old college student in Missouri working on her bachelor's degree in political science. She was born with golden heart syndrome and went TikTok viral from a post about the struggle of mask wearing without an ear. Thank you for being here today. Nathan is next. We've got Nathan can give us a wave. Nathan Kahina is from Orlando, Florida. Currently, he is 19 years old and attending Valencia College with the hopes of pursuing a degree in biology. Thank you, Nathan. And finally, we have Isaiah Acosta. He can give us a wave. Awesome. He's from Arizona. He's an influencer, an artist, a TED Talk speaker, a social media creator focused on being his true self. So thank you so much for being here today, Isaiah. Excellent, excellent. So without further delay, we are going to jump into our first questions. And our first question is basically, I'm going to have everyone, and I'll rotate through. I'm going to have you tell us what apps and platforms you use and which one you are most popular, which one has the most followers and you enjoy the most. So let's start, and let's have Reese, you want to kick us off? I'm going to go into speaker view now so that we can, there we go. Reese, I'll have you go first.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am basically on all social media platforms, but by far TikTok is the one where I have the largest following and the one that I enjoy the most.
Awesome. Thank you. Peter, why don't you tell us which ones you use and which ones are most popular?
So the ones that I use the most are, let's see, we got TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter and Facebook. So we're on everything, but I think the most popular is definitely TikTok.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's the most engagement, the most following.
Awesome. Awesome. Emily, what about you?
So I use Instagram and TikTok, and probably my most popular is TikTok.
I see a trend here. What about you, Nathan?
I mainly use Instagram and TikTok, but yeah, my most popular is TikTok. Yeah. So.
Perfect. And Isaiah, what about you?
The platforms I use right now: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. TikTok and Instagram are most popular for me.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you all so much. All right. Well, our next question that we have to discuss is we're going to talk to Peter and Dee Dee, and we're going to ask, how did you guys get started online?
Hi. So I think our initially was with CCA, with Wonder, and I'm on the board of directors. And at the time when Wonder came out, I was very excited about the opportunity to use Wonder as a platform, as an education and outreach platform in schools. And so that kind of took off. The board got behind it, and Peter and I kind of were the trailblazers with going into schools and speaking on behalf of CCA. And so we never created our own Facebook page like the Pete's Diary exists now. I never wanted to distract away from CCA, and we never charged to speak. We just asked for donations to CCA. But then Peter got closer to graduating from high school and trying to figure out, what's next for him. And the Wonder movie kind of came out, and things kind of settled down after that, all that excitement, which was awesome. I just got a thing that said it was 3 years ago today. Yeah. Like it's an anniversary from the Wonder premiere. So that's kind of cool. But so I decided it was time. And then music became more of his, we continued to talk about kindness, but we kind of transcended into more about self-acceptance and empowerment, because before you could be kind to others, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to accept who you are and be empowered and have that courage. So I kind of switched the focus of some of our talks to more of that, and you became more the musician and kind of stepped into that space. So we established Pete's Diary, which originally wasn't a diary I kept when Peter was a baby. And when we decided to set up our new social media accounts, that name resurfaced. So that's kind of how our Pete's Diary came. And it's established as a business now. It's an LLC. So.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you. And I know everyone has a bit of a different story, but we're going to keep rolling into more questions about telling us about who all of you are. So our next one is for Isaiah. And Isaiah, we want to ask you, what kind of online world have you created, and what are you trying to create?
My online platforms, I'm trying to bring awareness that it's okay to be different. Being different, you still can be the same. I want people to see I'm happy who I am. Missing my jaw and vocal voice shouldn't be all you see. I put myself more out there in hopes to help somebody else that might need it. I'm doing all this with just my words alone.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's incredibly powerful. Thank you for bringing that up, that, you are saying that you love who you are and you love what you're putting out there in the world. So we really appreciate that. Thank you. Awesome. Emily, next we're going to come to you, and we'd like to know, what is your main goal or message that you're trying to put out into the world?
So I want to share my story. There's awareness. So there's awareness and hope that people are going for the same thing I am, and similar things. I want to tell them it is hard, but you can get through it, and you can work through it, and soon it will be over and done with, and you can overcome so much.
Absolutely. I think that's an important part. Like you're not sugarcoating it. You're saying that you can get through even the really hard things. Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you so much. Next we have Reese, and Reese, your story is a little bit about how you got started too. Were you always a public profile, or did you open up a little bit more after yours went viral?
So I am definitely more private on social media, and I'm more reserved in my real life. I don't really tell a lot of people unless they're, of importance to me. And so going TikTok viral has had a huge impact on my life, because people who don't even know me now know who I am. and I feel like I don't have this little secret anymore. But yeah, I definitely am more open now, but I still see myself as more reserved online. I really don't post that much. So yeah.
Kind of just a little follow-up question. So how long ago was that she went viral? So this is all pretty new, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I went viral in August, and that whole month was crazy. So it's settled down now. So I feel a little bit of relief with that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think that's a big distinction too. And we definitely want to talk more about that as we go on. Some people have been doing this for years, and some people it's really just a matter of weeks. So it's all levels here. Thank you so much. Nathan, next up, I have a question for you. And my question for you is, what would you say that you hope to accomplish with your platform?
I think I can speak for everyone here. It's mainly because it affect, encourage other people. I think my big thing is self-confidence. Boosting everyone has their own flaws. Everyone has something they don't like about them. It's natural, but to be able to limit that and not let it take over you, and just being confident in who you are, and showing people that yes, I may look different, everyone else may look different, but we're really all the same. And also just to look at life like in a joking manner. Just have fun, joke about yourself, joke about whatever the situation is. Make a negative into a positive is kind of the thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Just a little bit of a follow-up on that. Can you tell us about your platform specifically? You use humor a lot. So can you just describe that?
So my platform is like humor. So how mainly I use like humor towards myself. So I'll kind of make fun of myself, but it's not in like, like it's not in a mean way, but it's just like in a little funny way. But yeah, I do that, and I sometimes I switch it up to talk about like relatable stuff. But yeah, mainly it's just me making funny light of my situation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for telling us about that. So now we're going to move into a little bit of a different section, and we're going to kind of talk about your successes and failures. And feel free to elaborate and jump in as you all see fit. But I'm going to send this question directly to Peter, and I'm going to say, what has been the most positive outcome or part of having an online presence?
Well, a lot of it is some of the comments and messages you get sometimes, and I'm sure you guys have probably gotten this type of message too. Like somebody sent you a DM, and they might have like a similar difference, like they may have broken heart or creature Collins, or maybe something a little bit different, maybe like their own medical battles or something. And they reach out to you and say that, the content you're putting out has really kind of changed my perspective and helped me be a bit more confident. And it completely makes your day. It really is cool to see some of to see the impact you're having. It's really something special.
Like, what about Lincoln? You want to tell him quick about
Yeah, so there's this young kid all the way out in Australia, and he found me, through the AC/DC guitar covers and all that, because I'm, big fan, right? And what is it? It's funny. What was it? He messaged
He just messaged and says he has autism and anxiety and Tourette's syndrome, and that his mom messaged me too, and he just looks for Peter's videos every day, and they really help him. It's like his little therapy. After school he watches Peter's videos, and his birthday was coming up, and his account got hacked, and he was so upset because Pete's Diary was following him, and so he created a new account. And anyway, so Pete put a video out just to wish him a happy birthday, and she sent us his reaction. So to see his reaction and how excited he got, it was just so special. And that's just one of hundreds of stories of connection and just, all the comments. I mean, you get the bad, but I'd say 99% are very good. And it's what gives you the fuel to keep doing it.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I mean, that's part that I really want to highlight. Like, you guys are changing other people's lives through the work that you're doing. I'm not sure if anyone else has a story, if they want to jump in, and if someone has reached out and said that you've made a big impact, feel free. I don't want to limit anyone else's stories right now before we go into some of the negative aspects.
I mean, I think it's like you said, I think I received a lot of DMs, a lot of comments, kids with my like relatable issues about how, oh, I help inspire them, like, kind of just relating to them. And that's what sometimes kids want, especially when you're given something that's very rare. You just want to, when you can relate to someone, it really helps you guide you through life. So yeah, I'll definitely the good over outshines the bad, 100%, any day of the week.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. That's a big distinction, which leads me into my next question. And I'm going to send this one to Isaiah. What is the worst part of the online, having an online presence?
There has been many times that I consider deleting apps off my phone. I have with Facebook because nonstop notifications. Sometimes I get tired of seeing negativity or all the critics that have to say something about how I look or how I do things every second of my day. Keeping up can be hard at times. When I see negative hate comments, most likely it's a form of bullying about how I look or what people assume I can't do. It can get nasty. I do my best not to engage back and forth with anyone. If it's really bad, I will delete the comment. I have so many kids who look up to me. Two wrongs never make it right. Some people have to tear people down to make them feel good about themselves. I remind myself that most of these people don't even know me in real life.
That's an excellent reminder. Most of these people don't know you. And so it's not personal, but I'm sure it feels insanely personal. And I know it can be taken up to a higher degree because people have that level of the computer they're behind that sometimes makes them be even harsher than they ever would be in real life. Another person who I would love to answer that is Emily. What has been the worst part for you?
So probably the worst part is the hate. But like not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to like what you post. People don't care. People don't care if they hurt you. Like it doesn't matter, honestly. Like I usually just block them or like leave it up and like not respond. And then like my followers will go at them, especially on TikTok. Like people will go like at them and yeah.
Yeah, that's something we kind of discussed when we were all getting ready for this panel, what are some of the actions that you can take? And then if your followers kind of jump on the haters, they can kind of do some of that work for you. But Nathan, what about you? Has that been similar to your experience?
I mean, personally, like I don't. It's just me. Like I don't really get that stuff get to me, but I feel like I can kind of speak for some people in the sense that like people are quick to judge you off of like a 10-second video, 20-second video. Like they think they just know you and they're quick to judge you. And it's like, bro, you don't even know who I am. Like you never even actually had a conversation. Like granted, the content you put out is shows a representation of who you are to a certain extent. But it really doesn't show really who you are. Because how I act when the camera turns on might be completely different how I act when it's off. So I feel like that's one thing that kind of like kind of bugs me is just like people think they know who you are. They're quick to judge when it's like, bro, it's like 20-second video. You don't really know me.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. And Reese, I'll just kind of move on and see if you have anything to add on that, because this is new for you. And people, like you said, you're a little more private. So have you had to deal with any of the negative side of that?
Oh yeah. But like everybody said, it's mainly just most of the comments I get are just appreciative of me and they think I'm funny, and which is a huge confidence booster. But yeah, there's just like those few comments and then you just think about them for the rest of your day, and it's just like, why should I spend all of my time thinking about what that one person said when I have hundreds of other comments, complimenting me, telling me to post more, like who genuinely like what I post. And so, yeah, I just really try to focus on the positivity side of it and just have a better outlook and just realize that I am making an impact on people, whether I want to believe that or not, and that people do care about me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think, I don't know if it's an age difference or something like that, but that's really hard for me. Whenever I post something, I'm always worried. I'm like, should I take it down? Should I take it down? So I just commend you all again for being able to not only just have the unknown do people like this, but you actually have people saying negative things, like Isaiah said, making assumptions about you. So it can't be overstated how much of a strong sense of self you all guys have. So I just wanted to thank you for putting that out there. That said, we are not talking about haters in this question, but who do you allow to give you constructive feedback on what you put out there? I know we kind of, we have people in our inner circle that we let advise us. So Peter, what about you? Who do you let give you feedback?
Well, I guess let's see, in terms of like, yeah, what content or things to post. I kind of run it by sometimes mom and dad, and maybe even Jacob sometimes. If there's like a guitar video or something that I'm ready to post, I'll show it to dad because he's a big fan as well. And he kind of knows what I'm capable of, and he'll be like, you know what, you could play this part a little bit better. And it's like, oh, I gotta go try this again. But it's good to kind of have that constructive criticism. It's not like, this stinks. Why did you choose this song? It's oh, maybe this bend could be just a little bit tighter or something like that. And and I'm sure you guys kind of know this too. There's certain people that comment sometimes, certain users that kind of comment a lot, and they're, I think you guys would understand when I say that you can kind of get a good sense of like, the people that keep coming back and are genuinely like, they care about your content. And then you kind of see those comments pop up sometimes, and you kind of take those comments, maybe not really to heart, but you kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for?
More, like
they mean more. And it's like, maybe if they say like, oh yeah, this was really good or not, there's, you can kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but you can kind of get a sense for,
I think some people you build up trust with. I mean, you don't know them technically online, but based on the comments and their engagement with your account, you build up some trust that they have integrity and they're good quality followers.
Yes.
But you post too about not just guitar stuff, but about your differences.
Right.
And you always run some of that stuff too by me or dad or your brother, usually before you post it.
Right. Just, general reaction kind of thing.
Absolutely. That inner circle. Perfect. What about you, Nathan? Who do you run yours by?
All right, so like I would say 90% of my videos are run by my friends because I do comedy, so I gotta make sure it's funny. So what I usually do is I make the video and I send it to my friends. I'm in a group chat and I'm like, oh, what y'all think? And they're like, if none of them laugh, they're like, oh no, it's whack. Like it might sound harsh, but it's keeping it real. They're like, no, this isn't funny. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I gotta delete it. Or it'll be like, oh, change this part, do this, do that. I'll be like, okay. So actually, usually my friends, because we're all the same age, and that's kind of like what my audience is, teenagers. That's kind of like, but I mean, I show my mom my videos, I show like everyone here and there, but the yes or no is usually from my friends.
Great. How many friends do you have that get that yes or no?
How many? All right, so in the group chat, I think we got like 3, but
Okay.
but sometimes they don't be answering me, which I get mad when they don't answer back. So then I gotta hit up another friend, then I see what he says and if it's funny or not. But then some of them they always say yes to everything. I don't want people that always say yes. I need the harsh, like if they tell me it's whack, it's whack. So
That's a good point. I mean, again, being able to take this criticism and wanting not just a yes person in your life, that's extremely mature.
I think that goes for anything. If you want to be good at something constructive criticism it helps you a lot. I mean, like senior, like for a good car, like you said, having that constructive criticism. Oh, do this better, do that. Okay, then take that advice and come back. How about now? It improves it a lot.
I 100% agree. And I also 100% still say that's not easy. Wanting to get better does mean welcoming that feedback. So good for you. Good for you for knowing that and allowing that process to be played out. It's a true sign of an artist that wants to perfect their craft. Along with that, like you said, sometimes your friends aren't answering back and you need to get this post out, you need to know. So that leads me into my next question for Isaiah. When you're trying to get that post out, do you have an agenda for what you're going to post, or are you more spontaneous?
My agenda for posting is spontaneous. Most times it's what's trending, what's going on, awareness, what I'm currently involved in at that moment, how I feel, my peak time.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. What about you, Reese? Are you more spontaneous or more planned?
Definitely spontaneous. I mean, the TikTok that I went viral for, I went grocery shopping and I was just so excited to post it that I just filmed it in my car in the parking lot and then I went home. So I just think that's kind of funny because I never expected it to blow up that big. And I just think it's funny how something that didn't even take up a minute of my time launched me into that.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you feel when you saw that? Like after you got home from the car, how did you feel?
Definitely like an adrenaline rush. Because I had never experienced that before. And I'm very reserved on social media. And so to have, to go home and realize that 3 million people have seen my video in the span of an hour is insane to me. Like, I just can't even fathom that. And so I was just like, I don't even know what to do from now. Like, I don't know how to comprehend this.
Wow. Yes. Yes. That is something that I definitely would not know how to comprehend. So what about you, Emily? What do you feel when you hit a certain number or stat with your post? What is that like for you?
So numbers aren't really my thing. I don't really care if I have one person follow me or 1,000. I would like more. But this is one person that reads my story. I share my story. They can get inspired by it, and then they can go tell other people not to follow me. But it does feel pretty good that like so many people actually care about me and like want to follow me and want to follow my journey. And yeah.
Definitely. Well, again, that's really, really mature too, that you're not worried about a number or a stat. You're putting the message out there for other reasons. So excellent, excellent. What about you, Nathan? Because you do need an audience as a comedian. How do you feel when a certain post blows up, so to say?
Alright, so well, when my first one ever kind of did good, that day I was hyped. It was like at nighttime. I remember I was studying for my biology test, and I couldn't study for the rest of the night because I was like a little kid. I was jumping. I was like, yo, I went to my sister. I was like, yo, look at this, it's blowing up, blowing up. And then after a while, I care about the number to a certain extent because there's certain videos I put a lot of effort in, and you want to see the result. But I think now it's more like, okay, I reached a million. Okay, like what's next? Like I don't make it a big deal because I want the next thing, like just more and more and more. Like it's what I like to do. It's just like I just want more. Like I want a bigger number. I want this. So, like I'm thinking of ideas. Like the next, like I don't try to like sit in the moment. I'm trying to keep on going, keep on going.
I can see how that would feel that way. Thank you so much. What about you, Isaiah? How does it feel when you reach a certain number of folks? What's that like for you?
Hitting a certain stat, it's a great feeling. More people have seen my face. To me, it makes me feel people are listening and will choose kind when they see a person with a craniofacial difference. It's an accomplishment feeling for me, almost like I'm breaking barriers.
I love that. That gave me chills. Breaking barriers. Yeah. And having people see you, that's important too. I think that's something that we all want to feel seen. So I appreciate you pointing that out as well. Thank you so much. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so that's kind of our successes and failures part of the discussion. And now I really want to dive into the good feel. We've talked about the good, we've talked about the bad, and how do you maintain a healthy relationship with your social media? So this is for everyone, and we'll just start with Isaiah. Tell me if you feel pressure to keep up with your social media.
At times it can feel like pressure to keep up with social media, especially when you have stuff going on in your life. Almost like you're leaving your fan base waiting, and they assume right away something's wrong.
Good point. I have heard that. I see you nodding, Peter. What about you? Do you feel pressured to keep up with it?
Well, I think I kind of speak for everyone, I'm sure, when it just kind of feels like, I don't know, if like a rat maze, kind of like you just want to keep going and going and going. Like, there's almost no end in sight. And sometimes, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this too, sometimes you might put out a video and you're like, what was I thinking there? Like, this isn't me. Like, I just kind of put it out to put it out. Like, I could have done this better or something like that. Like you're trying too hard, kind of a thing. And I think people have a good sense of that as well, like on social media too.
Oh, that's really interesting. I haven't thought about that, but I'm seeing lots of nods. So clearly this is a content creator's dilemma. What about you, Reese? You're newer to this. Do you feel a pressure now that you've made this wave to keep it going?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel bad because I am just so busy in just my regular life. I mean, I'm a full-time student. I work 30 hours a week. Like, I just do not have the time to keep up with, what is going on. And I feel bad, but it's just like I care more about posting when it feels right than just trying to put out content just because I feel like I have to.
Yeah, I think that's a good guide. What about you, Emily?
I hear everyone. I feel pressured a lot. Especially that like my outside life on social media is really busy, and I have a lot of medical stuff going on. So it's hard for me like to find time to post and like post good content. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And Nathan, do you feel that pressure as well?
Yeah, most definitely. I think in the beginning, I felt a lot of pressure. It's like following up. I think it's the hardest part and keeping the pace. I still do sometimes, like I'll have comments here and there like, man, you should post more. And I'm like, I wish I could post more too, but it's like Peter said, sometimes like it'll be like 4 days I don't have a video. I'm like, bro, I need a video, and then you just put out something that's not true. Like I think now I'm starting to find the balance a little more. So maybe like I'll do every other day or every 2 days sometimes, but no, it's hard. But I think I believe in quality over quantity 100%.
Yeah. Well, that leads perfectly into my next question. Since you feel this pressure and sometimes you end up putting out things you're not perfectly pleased with, how do you make sure that you're authentically you on social media? How do you be authentic? And Nathan, you can just jump right in.
How do you be authentic? I think right really like, I'm speaking for everyone. What makes us authentic here is obviously how we look. I mean that's like separates us from like us and like everyone else. Like that's a big thing. But I mean just your personality. Like I said, the videos you make are a portion of a reflection of who you are. So like like your humor or like how like it's just like it's hard to explain, but it's just you being you. It's got the best way I can. You're just being you. It's hard to explain, but yeah, that's it.
No, I think we're definitely uncovering that. What about you, Peter? How do you make sure that you're posting something that's authentic to you?
Well, I guess from like a guitar standpoint, you know, sometimes after like multiple takes, sometimes there's and this is kind of a unique one, but like sometimes like there may be a bum note or something, you know, maybe I screwed up a bend or something like that, or maybe hit, you know, was a note off or something. But sometimes just the vibe, you know, there's just kind of an overall vibe sometimes, you know, like an energy, and it's like, okay, I did this other take and it was perfect, but I screwed up this other take by like one note, and it was just like a totally different kind of, you know, energy or vibe or something going on. And then in terms of like some of the other videos as well, let's see, you just want to make sure it feels right. It's kind of a gut instinct almost. It's kind of hard to describe.
I think too, you've shared your bloopers.
I have, yes. Like one time I did a goofy jump and hit myself in the face with the guitar, and I'm like, okay, that's actually really funny. That might have to go on TikTok.
And I love, people like to see that because it's real, right? Not everything is a highlight reel. Not everything is the final. There's a lot of practice, or like with the comedy with you, Nathan, there's a lot that goes into it before you publish it or share it on social sometimes. But when you show the before and the practicing and the learning and the bloopers, and you can laugh at yourself, I think that's real, that's raw, that's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Or just like Reese in her car doing that video. I mean, those tend to do the best, I think.
So just kind of like a spur of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am getting that sense. What about you, Isaiah? How do you stay authentic to yourself?
I feel like you have to be authentic or it's not you. I have my good days and bad days. I'm not perfect. If it's not my true self, I'm not posting.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, I'm hearing that, like, you feel it. Reese, would you agree? It's a feeling, a vibe that you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to look back on your content and just recognize and just think to yourself, is this the message I want to be spreading? Is this what I want to represent? And then I think that's when you really realize who you are and what you want to do.
Awesome. And Emily, would you say that's similar for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. I just try to do like my real self out there and not like someone's fake.
Yeah. People seem to have that radar for fake. I'm getting that's a sense from all of you guys. So thank you for that. We did want to kind of pause here and say, you know, Dee Dee has an interesting perspective as a parent. And I know some of you have had your parents be a part, maybe updating when you've been in the hospital. Like for Emily, I know that's been part of your journey too. But Dee Dee, how do you check in on your son's choices? How do you provide a little bit of that oversight to make sure he is being authentically himself? And how do you encourage that, I guess?
Oh, I'm scared to hear this answer.
Well, I think as a parent, especially if you have a younger, I mean, you're older now and you can, obviously speak out more like if you don't like something or whatever, but if you have a younger child, I mean, no matter what, parents tend to share, I share pictures of his brother too, and it's not all about like golden heart syndrome or CCA or anything. It's just like your normal life. So I think as a parent, you always have to kind of be aware that you're sharing your child's photo. It's not you, and how are they going to think about that, or what are they going to feel about that when they're an adult. And like I've checked in with you over the years, I guess not so much on social media, but when we were speaking a lot, like, is this what you want to continue to do? Are you still happy doing this? I'm like, I don't want to push you or make you feel like you have to do this. And then as you've gotten older, I mean, like TikTok, you do the TikTok, you'll ask like, what do you guys think of this? But you pretty much run that. And the other accounts we share, we post together, I guess, but because because I do more of the writing. You're obviously the musician and the inspiration and what attracts people. I think your attitude and everything. But yeah, we just kind of have a balance on that, I guess. As far as surgeries, I did post a lot of updates. Like he had a lot of surgeries last year, and I posted updates because and we got so much support, and we just felt that support, and it meant a lot from people on social media that really genuinely cared and sent well wishes. But I didn't post anything of your face until you decided to do it yourself, or I asked, like, are you ready to post a picture of your face? Like when you had your jaw surgery, we just posted like, different things. But like when you were in the hospital, we had Funko Pops. Someone, a fan had sent him Funko Pops of like Angus Young, different guitar players and stuff. And I would put the Funko Pop somewhere in your room, and we're like, update from Angus. And just take a picture of some of the hospital equipment and stuff. So, so as you got older, I got more aware, more, sensitive about that. Like you don't need to share everything on social media.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's very creative, a way to keep an update going, but protect some of the privacy with the avatar of the Funko Pops. Just one follow-up question. Say there's a parent out there that has a 12, 13-year-old who's like, I want to be on social media and put goodness out into the world. How would you encourage that parent? What would you say would be a good tips for that parent to help their child into that place?
If they're 10, 12, 13, I would say definitely make sure it's their consent, that they are okay with you doing that, and explain what it means, like, gosh, 10-year-olds now, they're on social media. It's, but you definitely have to monitor. And I think especially with the trolls and the cyber bullies, you have to be aware and make sure that you're having a conversation with your child that these people, they might not even be people, they're bots, and what they say, you can't value a stranger's opinion, good or bad. Like you said, you get to know people who are engaging regularly, and you realize they're genuine people, and most of them are, but not all of them are. Some of them are just seeking attention for making comments. And when you have a 10-year-old, you don't want them to internalize some comment that's just by a robot that means nothing. You have to be really aware, because these kids really take, this, they really internalize, I think. It's like someone makes a comment about your ear or your hair or whatever it is, and you're so self-conscious about it. And at any age, that's hard to do. But especially like middle school, oh my gosh, yeah, that's really hard, because then they're so hyper-focused on it. So I just think if you want to do that and you want to put the good out there and, encourage inclusion and embrace differences and things like that, I think that's great and fantastic. But you have to always have a conversation and a dialogue with your child back and forth, and open, very open about it, and monitor those accounts together.
Great advice. Thank you. Thank you. That does lead into the next question. So how do you protect yourself from people who don't make you feel happy online? And Nathan, I know you've talked a bit about how you've done that. How do you protect yourself from people that are negative to you?
Okay, how do I protect myself? Obviously, like the normal way you can block a person, but personally, I don't really care to take the time to do that. Like, I want to kind of protect myself because, like, I'm public, you can comment, it's just like, I just don't care. I just don't care what anyone says. Like, half of the time I just laugh at the comments, cause like, I make fun of myself, so like, half of the time I just laugh at the comments, and it's like, like, I remember, like, one time, I don't usually go through my TikTok DMs, but I think, like, one time I was bored, so I went through it and had, like, a 7-year-old, like, saying I was, like, ugly, and then, like, my content sucks. And I just sit there and laugh. I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, and I know he just wants attention. I just sit there imagining him just laughing, typing it. And I'm like, come here, I don't care.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of deflection. I know, Emily, you kind of touched on sometimes you let your own followers handle folks in the comments. Do you have anything to expand on there?
So it's obviously that, like I'll just ignore it honestly, cause like people like it's too. I feel like it's too want to say those things like and everyone to just see it and be like, that's a horrible person. And honestly, it doesn't even bother me. Like I'm used to it. Like it doesn't bother me.
Okay, yeah, I'm very impressed with that. I have to say, both of you are saying the same thing. You just don't let it bother you. For sure. So we've touched on this, and I want to ask Isaiah. Tell us about when you've had to delete posts where the people do start arguing in your comments. I mean, how do you even moderate the people on your platform who aren't taking it out on you? They're taking it out on other people. What do you do about that?
I feel as an influencer in the spotlight, it's my role to lead an example to not engage in arguments or hateful comments, even at times it may anger or sadden me. Sometimes deleting threads or even blocking, reporting is the best thing to do. Sometimes you have to censor how you feel to help kids understand there's different ways of dealing with it.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. You can let it roll off of your back and you can ignore it, but if they start going after other people, being that influencer that says, okay, I'm putting a stop to this, that's a pretty big stand and a big responsibility. So thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of, we're getting towards the end of our hour, so I want to get a few more questions in there. I have one for Reese. I want to ask about, do you discuss your offline or your online agenda offline, and with whom might you discuss that with?
Yeah, so I mean these past few months since my TikTok went viral, I've been on BuzzFeed, Good Morning America, and I've teamed up with Pop Sockets for charity, and so my parents and my family have been very involved in that. Just more like just excitement, and they're just so proud of me, and I feel very loved. But yeah, I mean, other than that, not really. When I initially posted those videos, I didn't tell anybody, and then all of a sudden, like BuzzFeed reached out to me, and they're like, "We want to interview you," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, I did it and I didn't tell anybody, and then it got posted and everyone's like, why wouldn't you tell us this? And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, I don't know, I've never gotten this much attention before.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really cool thing to happen too. And so I guess you're kind of deciding as you go along, who do I need to fill in and when do I need to fill them in? So thank you for that. I have another question, and I'm going to address this one to Isaiah. And basically I'm saying, does your online presence make you feel more committed to your general goals? Isaiah, what do you think about that?
My online presence gets me closer to my goals. I feel like it's a career path for me to help reach others who are struggling to be comfortable in their own skin. Hopefully people see me, and I can change how they view people based on looks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that is something we're all hearing too, a theme of what you're doing online, how it is playing out in your offline life as well. So we do have a few questions. And I do want to get everyone a couple of closing thoughts, and I'm going to roll one of these audience questions into the question that I posed to you before this. So the audience question is, what would you tell your younger self? But my question was, what do you tell someone that wants to advocate? So answer that how you see fit. And I'm going to start with Emily, if you would.
So I was trying to say that you will get hate, but just ignore it, because like you're doing something that not a lot of people can do it. Like, not a lot of people can put themselves out there, and like stuff to stuff like people not liking you, stuff people like saying that you're an installation and all that stuff. Like putting yourself out there is hard, but once you do it, you will like you will get a lot more love, and people will start to care about you more. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think that's excellent advice. What about you, Peter? What would you tell your younger self, or a young person that wants to advocate?
So I guess for a younger person that wants to advocate or, do this, my advice would be always stay true to yourself, like we talked about earlier. Always kind of trust your gut instinct on it. This feels right. And maybe share that idea with some other people to get their input as well. But most importantly, kind of trust your gut when it comes to, what you think would be good. And I guess the other thing too with, haters, they're gonna be there. I mean, that's an unfortunate given, but there's always going to be more people that enjoy your content and like you more than the haters. So that's just something you got to keep in mind.
Yeah, some parents are asking about the risks of going public, a public account.
Mhm.
And if your goal is to educate the public and, make a bigger impact, then that would be appropriate time to take your social account public. But when you do that, you have to assume the risk that someone might use your child's image inappropriately. Someone might, take part of your video and use it in a way you aren't happy about. And it's a risk. It's the reality. And you can report things, and we've had some issues where we've reported things, but ultimately it's just, there's not a lot you can do really. I mean, that's the bad part, but it's a risk. You have to acknowledge that that's going to happen or could happen. And you have to weigh if it's worth it for you personally or not, and your child personally or not.
Yeah. Isaiah just texted in some message as well, and he says that he would have told his younger self to push harder. And I think that feeds into what you guys are saying. You have to be ready for these hard things, and you're going to have to push through them. Thank you, Isaiah and Peter and Dee Dee. Would you agree with that, Nathan? What would you tell a young person or your younger self?
Okay, so for a young person, like I said before, I think the most important thing when you're building a social media following should be yourself. It's trying to put on a fake image or portray something you're not. It'll catch up to you eventually. So I think number one thing is just to be yourself, be original, of course, and just do something that someone's never done before. Just think outside the box. Don't be out of the norm. I think those are the big things if they want to enter social media. And for me, so if I were to tell something to my 13-year-old self, I mean, I like probably like your dreams were are closer than you thought. Cause I mean, honestly, my whole life, my dream is just to inspire people, and I mean, I'm able to do it in the earlier age than I ever thought I would. So, part of that.
That's very cool. Thank you. And Reese, the question to you, what would you tell your younger self or a young person now wanting to advocate?
Yeah, so I think it's important to realize that the more accepting you are of yourself, the more accepting others will be of you. And definitely I wish I could tell myself that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of everything that you feel, and that, just your physical looks don't define you. And you are more than just what you are. And, there are going to be people out there that love you for that.
Thank you. You guys are making me a little emotional. I really appreciate the thought that you've put into this. And then our final question, I want to thank our audience for joining us. I want to thank everyone who wrote in questions, and we want to keep this conversation going for sure. I'm going to share the slide at the end of this with all of our influencers' handles so you can follow them and see them more and hear more from them directly. But again, thank you to all of our panel that has been here, that has shared from their hearts and from their experience. And then I'm going to ask you all to just leave us with a closing thought. And I'm going to start with Isaiah, if that's all right.
Be your true self. Don't be what others want you to be. Be happy doing it. Don't let it change who you are inside. Make sure your message is heard.
I love that. Thank you. Make sure your message is heard. Emily, would you like to leave us with a closing thought?
Do you, and don't let anyone tell you differently, because you're amazing.
Thank you so much. Nathan, what about you?
Oh, that's a good question. Closing thought, I think just no matter what, I think in life you'll always be handled given situations that you have no control over, whether it's good and bad. And I just feel like it's the best of what you make out of that situation. One of my, I don't even know where this quote's from, but I heard it from somewhere, so I just say it's not what you're given, but what you do is what you're given. It's probably like my favorite quote ever. So yeah, man, it's just, instead of just getting down on life, because life is gonna beat you up. I mean, it's just part of life. You can't do much about it. But it's just about how you bounce back, how you look at the situation, how you learn from the situation, and just grow as a person. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to life.
That was an excellent closing thought. Reese, what about you?
I think no matter what, above all, just remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others.
Thank you. Thank you. And Peter, what is your closing thought for today?
Well, I think everything's already been said, but always be yourself. Most importantly, keep your head up and have fun.
And
Perfect.
as a parent, I'm going to pipe in as far as, of course, the social media stuff. You don't have to post things on social media. It's a choice. Always remember that it's a choice.
Mhm.
I think, like, especially younger people feel like they have to live their life on social media, and you don't. You can choose to, not post, or and you choose what you consume too.
Mhm.
So just always remember, and parents with kids that are wanting to do accounts and, make a difference, make an impact with inclusion and diversity and kindness and things like that. That's great, but don't feel like you have to go public with it all. Don't feel like you have to post it. And life's not all a highlight reel either. Nothing replaces real relationships.
Those are excellent closing thoughts for sure. I think we need to follow that up with a tip list. But yeah, thank you so much. All of that is so meaningful and so powerful. So thank you. Thank you all for your words, your messages, and your vulnerability and courage to be out there. I do encourage everyone who's watching to continue this conversation, ask the questions that we didn't get to today, to these fine panelists on their platforms, connect with them, follow them, make sure that you are receiving this great content that they're putting out there. So again, thank you to Carrie Jackman, our marketing and communications coordinator, for doing our captions today. Thank you so much to 𝐶𝐞𝐬 Moten for helping us put this together. And she manages our speakers bureau. If you are a young person out there wanting to advocate, get in touch with us. We have some easy ways to get started that may skyrocket you to social media fame, like these panelists here today. And then finally, make sure that you follow Isaiah Acosta. He is at �xVX_6. Thank you, Isaiah, so much for being here today. Emily Merrill is at m.the.warrior. Thank you, Emily, so very much for joining us. Nathan is at Nathan_1424. And we really appreciated you sharing everything with us today. Reese is at Rhys Yarbrough, and her name is RHYS. So be sure to take note of that when you are looking for her on Instagram and TikTok. And Peter and Dee Dee, thank you so much. They are at Pete's Diary. So you guys have truly made my day. You've inspired me, as you always do. And again, just thank you, audience, for joining us. And you can find this on our website in a couple of days when we older folks figure out how to upload it to the website. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend, and be authentically you. Bye, guys.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.